Right guys, so today we're going to discuss about the Parkinson's Law. I'll explain you what that is, how it works, how this is actually impacting our life, and how this has the potential of improving our life and our productivity. First things first, I actually shot these videos a number of times. Trust me, it didn't work too good because my eyes were all over the place. I was trying to read the script and see if by any chance I'm shooting the right video and all that. So that, to be said, is I think one of the effects of the Parkinson's Law, because I had like the whole Sunday to kind of dedicate to this, in my mind, and then I was like, let me refine it. But then at the end I realized, let me freestyle it. Why? Because one, I know what Parkinson's Law is, and second, because I realized how this is impacting my life and in general all those people's life. Now, the theory in the Parkinson's Law is that with an allocated time for a set number of tasks, we tend to fill in the work required to complete that task in order to make sure we fit in that timeline. So I can give you an example. If we have a task that when we are at our peak productivity should be taking about 2 days, but then we have 1 week, instead of finishing that task in 2 weeks, our mind decides that let me add some more work that will fill the timeline of what week that I have. Instead of working the other way around, saying, well, I have 1 week, but let me be as productive as possible and finish it as soon as possible, so then I can do something else. In order to kind of mitigate this and work against this challenge, companies, organizations, and even people, they have built their own way and systems of strategizing how they allocate tasks and how much time they give. As an example, in web development, we have the 2 week sprint production when it comes to, releasing new features. In short lines, how this works is you have somebody that, is creating the whole idea and is planning these features and that features and, kind of having the big vision. And then you'll have another person, which people tend to call project management or whatever they want to call it. Now that person will take those, number of ideas and will put it on, let's call it a piece of paper, right? And then are going to kind of strategize based on the importance and also based on the impact. Now imagine a coder, a developer, they're not going to see this process. That's not something they have to worry about. They won't see the number, they literally infinite number of tasks that needs to be achieved. So what that person does, it breaks the big problem into small chunks. And then when the small chunks are going to be defined, it's taking that and is breaking that down into smaller tasks as well, in order to ensure that whoever is going to work on that task, it will be focused just on that task. Now, obviously, you might be having, let's say, 1 or 2 years to launch an app, update an app, whatever, revamp an app, or even when it comes to organizations restructures, you're going to have some sort of a timeline. Now, you can't look at the tasks that matter as for the small task, you have to define and give smaller amounts of time for those milestones to be hit. Again, generally speaking, it's like 2 weeks for apps development. And then when it comes to the task for, different companies, they will be having some sort of days or weeks. But in general, you usually have what we do this week, what we have accomplished for last week, what is to be accomplished, and how much free time potentially we might have. So we are deconstructing the big problem into smaller challenges, I would say, and then even smaller tasks, which generally are in the line of 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, 4 days, whatever, and so on. Now, with Parkinson's Law is like this. If you give somebody 1 week to complete a task that usually takes 1 day, they will take 1 week. If you give somebody a day for a task that, generally speaking, being productive, it takes just 1 day, they are going to complete it in that day. Otherwise, they are going to fill the gaps with some non-existent, non-important work. Plus, you'll also have to consider the 80-20 principle rule. In fact, that 20% of the input creates 80% of the output, so to speaking. So, if we channel the productivity in the right place, we're going to get more and more quality output. Otherwise, we're just going to be busy without being productive. Anyway, guys, I hope this helps. Explaining a little bit how the Parkinson's Law actually works, and in order to kind of fight with or against it, I suppose that's going to be a matter of your understanding. I am trying and doing my best to work with the Parkinson's Law. Therefore, I am allocating myself small tasks that has to be done today, tomorrow, the next day, and then usually I have about a week or so, or 2 weeks, like a long term, but then I'm deconstructing that all the time. So it's a matter of managing my personal time and my professional time as well in the best way, in order to make sure I am as productive as possible. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, share the video, all the good stuff if you find this video helpful. And you know what, comment below and I'm gonna make another video about productivity and, generally speaking, how to kind of improve the way you are working.